Today, Florida's Supreme Court upheld the state legislature's 15-week abortion ban and a 6-week abortion ban that the state legislature passed after the 15-week abortion ban. But Florida voters will have an opportunity to change that in November because in a separate decision today, the Florida Supreme Court approved a ballot measure that would protect abortion rights in the state's constitution on the November ballot. The proposed amendment says, quote, "No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider." The amendment requires the support of at least 60% of voters to be added to the Constitution. If it passes, it would nullify Florida's abortion bans. Florida is one of several states trying to bring the issue directly to voters in this election. Voters in 7 states, including Republican states like Kansas and Ohio, have already voted in favor of protecting abortion rights, not restricting them, since Roe versus Wade was overturned by the United States Supreme Court. It is particularly crucial now, given that this new 6-week ban in Florida will, as the Washington Post notes, all but eliminate abortion access in the South, while further straining abortion clinics elsewhere across America. Last week, Democratic Representatives Jasmine Crockett and Dan Goldman unveiled a bill to counter abortion misinformation. The bill seeks to ensure accurate abortion access information is available nationwide in response to anti-abortion centers, often calling themselves crisis pregnancy centers, intended to deceive patients. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jasmine Crockett of Texas and Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman of New York. Thank you both very much for joining us tonight. And Congressman Crockett, first of all, your reaction to the Florida Supreme Court saying, yes, the legislature can enact any ban it wants, 6 weeks, but Florida voters are going to get a chance to rule on this.
I'm happy and I'm happy. I know that there are those that definitely are saying, wait a minute, you know, Congresswoman, how can you be happy about the 6-week ban? It is the extremism that is actually motivating people to get up off the couch because they recognize that freedoms are on the line. And so because the Supreme Court allowed this rogue legislature and this rogue governor to do this, I think that this will be a motivating factor. And for once, I may have some faith in Florida. I lost faith after the hanging chads. But hey, November may be a different day because we know that every time we've taken this issue to the people have decided overwhelmingly that they want to basically allow our medical providers to assist women in making these very important decisions with their lives.
And Dan Goldman, a 60% vote necessary for the amendment in November to become law. It sounds tough, but current polling shows 62% of Florida voters supporting it, including 53% of Republicans supporting it.
That's exactly right, and that's consistent across the country, Lawrence. Americans, and especially women, want the right to control their own bodies. And when you look at what the state legislatures and governors are doing in states like Florida, where they are trying to force women who don't want to have babies or risk health issues by having babies to have them, and then you see the Alabama Supreme Court telling women who want to have babies through IVF that they cannot have babies, the only logical explanation is that they want to control women. And this is a battle for freedom. And as a man, it's a battle that is on the line for me, too. Not just because I have 4 daughters, but because the health of my wife may be at risk if abortion care or miscarriage care is not available. And family planning is on the line. And they're not going to stop here with the freedom to reproductive health. They will continue. They will go after contraception. They will go after LGBTQ rights and gay marriage. They will not stop until the conservative evangelical hard-right view of the world overtakes this entire country. And I'm glad that we will have an opportunity for Florida voters to make their opinion known. The courts are not going to save us, Lawrence. They're not going to save us against Donald Trump. They're not going to save us against the Supreme Court. We are going to have to get out to vote. Every single person in this country has to make his or her voice heard so that we, the American people, decide that what our freedoms are.
Representative Crockett, Joe Biden's position on abortion is very clear. He supports Roe versus Wade. He wants to see federal guarantees along the lines of Roe versus Wade. Donald Trump is refusing to say what his position is. Is he for a 15-week ban? Is he for a 6-week ban? What is it going to be? And he's a Florida voter, and he's also refusing to say how he would vote on this constitutional amendment in Florida.
I think the silence speaks volumes. We know where Trump stands. We know what this Supreme Court has done to decimate our freedoms, just like Congressman Goldman just laid out. You know, it's not really about whether or not you agree with abortion, you understand abortion access. It's about freedom as a whole. And we know that the 3 Trump justices have absolutely put us into the upside down. This is why we are struggling. This is why the people are having to push back. You know, I wish the state of Texas did have this option, because I could almost guarantee you that we would not have people facing up to life in prison if the people had an opportunity to choose. And the fact that it is a 60% threshold, they thought that that was going to be what they could do in Ohio to win, but we saw overwhelming number of people come out. And so honestly, this was probably the wrong fight to wage at the wrong time when they are trying to take the White House back. We know that Arizona is pushing to do the exact same thing. And so I am looking for good things out of Arizona. I'm looking for good things out of Florida. And anything that we can do, we're going to do. And I think it's really important that Dan is one of the people that brought this bill, because Dan is in New York. And we know that there are those that believe that if you're in New York or California, that you're safe. But they are trying to push a nationwide abortion ban, and we are going to push back.
Dan, on the legislation that you and Representative Crockett have introduced, it's about getting clear information out there for people about this. And now that we see with Florida, basically the entire South has an abortion ban in place in one way or another. New York is one of the places people are wondering about in those states that have banned abortions. What will your bill do to help people in these states living under abortion bans?
Well, the first thing it will do is it will provide a central repository of accurate information where people can go to figure out options for themselves, and whether it's to come to New York or go to Massachusetts or go to other states that welcome women who need abortion care, they can find it there. But it is also designed to stop the malicious and manipulative efforts by so-called crisis pregnancy centers to woo women into their centers by appearing as if they are a Planned Parenthood or the like, and then manipulating them and convincing them not to have an abortion. In New York, there are 13 crisis pregnancy centers, and there are 5 Planned Parenthood centers. So this bill will require a lot more truth in advertising, so to speak, for these crisis pregnancy centers, which are really a scourge on women's rights.
Representative Dan Goldman and Representative Jasmine Crockett, thank you both very much for joining our discussion tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.